Today we're going to fresh crack Old Forester's latest new product to the Whiskey Row Series 1924. What are my first impressions? Stay tuned to find out. Welcome back to the Bourbon Retriever. Today is a very special day because I get to review one of my most anticipated bottles of 2024, Old Forester's new edition of the Whiskey Row 1924. This is an age-stated product coming in at 10 years. Old Forester does not do many age-stated products. They have the Birthday Bourbon, the King Kentucky, which is technically a Brown-Forman product. Some of the 117 series, specifically I'm thinking about the Bottle and Bond, that was a 9-year, which I imagine is probably pretty similar to this. But you know, all that saying, Old Forester does not do many age-stated products outside those. Another interesting part about this bottle is it is a new mash bill for Old Forester. It's not a new mash bill for Brown-Forman. It is the mash bill they used to use for early times. Brown-Forman sold that brand to Sazerac, and what any good company does when they sell a brand but have some of the juice left is rebrand it, and here they came out with the Whiskey Row 1924. The story they have behind the 1924 is in that period many distilleries closed because of Prohibition, and in 1924 Old Forester was able to stay open because they had a medicinal license. In that year, Old Forester bought a bunch of barrels from the closed distilleries and blended them and sold them as Old Forester. So here, when Brown-Forman closed their Early Times brand, I guess they rebarreled it and are now selling it under the Old Forester line, similar to what happened in 1924. This product is coming in at 100 proof. That is very similar to another Whiskey Row product. However, that one was a Bottle and Bond, and this is not Bottle and Bond. Before I crack this bottle and give you my initial thoughts, I need to do a special shout out to Jacob Hamburger. This review is only possible because he let me borrow his bottle for me to give a review today. I do feel a little icky. I don't know if you guys at home have this same thing, but when someone gives me a bottle that is unopened, especially if they're not in the room with me, it just feels wrong to open the bottle. Even though he gave me permission to, it still just feels, I don't know, just like I shouldn't be doing it. All right, first test, the aroma. First impressions, that is rather enjoyable. I am shocked with how much I'm enjoying it, especially because it's a fresh crack. Typically, after some air gets in the bottle, the aroma gets a little better. That's one of the areas of bourbon that does, in my opinion, change a little bit. So for it to smell like this on fresh cracked, I am impressed, and I cannot wait to see how this bottle changes. There's a nice sweet char element to the nose, along with a chocolate covered, maybe a strawberry. Definitely getting some chocolate. I'm just trying to figure out which fruit it's covered. I guess the chocolate's covering. If you gave this to me blind, I would probably guess that it is one of the JD barrel proofs. I'm getting a lot of JD barrel proof vibes out of this. There's definitely some chocolate covered fruit here. I want to say banana, but I don't know if I'm just saying that because I have JD in my head. It definitely smells older than a traditional Jack Daniel's barrel proof though. I guess which makes sense because this is a 10-year age-stated product. There's just a nice sweet char to it. It's not heavy bitter or over oaked. It definitely has that nice light scent to it. I definitely say the aroma is on the sweeter side. The fruit notes are most pronounced with that chocolate cover note that I mentioned earlier, and then the oak is on the background, creating an overall darker aroma, but I would say the most prominent note is that fruit note. All right, onto the palate. I'm getting a lot of graham cracker on the palate. Typically, I'll get that maybe with a youthier bourbon, and then a lot of spice on the back end, which I typically don't get from Old Forester products. but the spice is really kicking on this one, especially for a 100 proofer. So on the front of the tip of the palate, you get traditional, I would say Old Forester flavors, but in the mid palates where it changes to that graham cracker, which I mentioned, I get a little bit of toffee in the middle of it. There's a sweetness there. I'm trying to pinpoint the sweetness, but I think the closest thing I can describe it to is toffee. And then I just can't get over the spice that I'm getting on the back of this. That is one thing I just did not expect with this bottle. Going back to the aroma, I think a good analogy might be a split between the Jack Daniel's 1012. I think that somewhere in between that is probably what I'm smelling here. Before I get to my final grade on the 1924, if you're enjoying this content, please consider subscribing to my Patreon. The Patreon is the best way to help a small channel like myself grow and provide new and exciting content going forward. All right, so is Old Forester 1924 a buy, pass, bar pour, something else? So I'd say if you enjoy the aroma of the JT10, potentially the JT12, and aroma is your most important factor, this is probably a buy. My issue is I don't particularly enjoy the graham cracker note I get in this bourbon, along with the spice on the back end. Those are two notes that are traditionally a little off-putting to me. And then the other issue for me is value. A lot of other legacy distillers have 10-year age-stated products out there at a much more reasonable cost. Eagle Rare 10 is supposed to be 40. On secondary, you can get for 50. Russell Reserve 10, that is like a $40 bottle. That being said, I think this is a better product than most of those 10 years product. It's just at a $100, $115 price tag, it's starting to get a little uncomfortable, especially when you can buy some other Old Forester products at a much cheaper value. I'd recommend, instead of trying to chase and hunt this down, go out and look for an Old Forester single barrel 100 proof. These things should be closer to $70 and, in my opinion, taste better than the 1924. That said, they are all single barrels, so they are going to have some variance, but I am an absolute fanboy and think these are the best value that Old Forester puts out. I wish more liquor stores did the 100 proof. Almost every liquor store around me does the barrel proof, and I guess I understand it. You can sell the barrel proofs for more, and the whiskey enthusiasts just generally like higher proof products. But I think the word is starting to get out that this is the best product that Old Forester puts out for the money. So if I saw this on the shelf today, I think I'd be on the fence about buying it, because the 100 proofers are hard to find. So if I did see this on the shelf, it's just, I enjoyed the aroma. I think the aroma is amazing on it. It's just the palate was a little lackluster. I definitely would not camp out for this, and I 100% wouldn't pay secondary for it. I think at $115 is even stretching it for me. So at the end of the day, if you're an Old Forester fanboy, an Old Forester profile is your jam, maybe even Jack Daniel's, it's a bottle to consider buying. If you're a value buyer or someone who doesn't get every release, it's probably one to consider maybe just trying to bar pour of to see if it's your jam. But outside that, you shouldn't have too much FOMO over this bottle or camp out overnight for it. So that's my review of the 1924. If you're enjoying this content, check out this video or this one. And until next time, cheers.